Joining us on the program now, though, is Mena Antonio. She is the Chief Executive of Caritas New Zealand. Mena, kia ora, thank you for your time today.
Morena, Andrew. Thank you for having us.
This is a sad time, and for many people, for billions of people around the world, in fact, this will be a time of mourning and prayer. For the timing of this, firstly, this happens right on Easter weekend, just at the conclusion of some of the celebrations of Easter that were happening right around the world. Perhaps the timing's significant, do you think?
Oh, look, we can't look past that. Pope Francis was a man of signs, signs of the times, the symbolism of him leaving us at this time to return to the house of our Father is significant, and also for us as Catholics, we draw on this as really important time when the Lord has risen, this time of resurrection as well.
And a couple of days could have made a huge difference. If the Pope, of course, had passed tragically just before Easter, it would have been a very different commemoration, a very different celebration in some ways.
Yeah, look, I mean, Easter we see as a whole as opposed to in parts.
Yes.
So at this time, it's an incredible time. Yeah.
Now, you had the opportunity to meet Pope Francis in person, I understand. Tell us about that meeting.
Oh, look, I mean, that was significant. We are part of, Caritas is part of the Confederation, 162 agencies globally. And we have a General Assembly every 4 years. And so it was just in 2022 that we met him in his private hall, St. Clementine Hall in the Vatican. So it was an incredible time just to experience him, to meet him, to see, to look into his eyes. His eyes sparkle. Yeah. He's very present. But his words and being in the presence of him and the words that he spoke to us is unparalleled.
Talking about his legacy, because there's much said about there's many firsts for this Pope. He's part of a long legacy, but actually there's many things that he did that were different than his predecessors. Talking in particular about his attitude towards environmental stewardship, perhaps significant in him choosing the name Francis, given his heart for the environment.
Yes, well, I mean, he signalled that right from day one with the choice of name. His name, he took the name of Saint Francis of Assisi, whose own concern was for the poor and also for the earth. Yeah. He called it our common home. Pope Francis then issued the groundbreaking encyclical Laudato Si, praise be, which is about the care for our common home, and he expressed that in really strong language. He described the earth as among the most abandoned and maltreated of our poor, and the mistreatment of the earth means it is beginning to look like an immense pile of filth. So he was really strong in that way in terms of just using very grounded language to convey, such important messages.
Also very much a heart for the poor, the marginalised, and in particular the refugee communities. In fact, very early on in his papacy, took a bit of a strong stand when it came to refugees and immigration.
Oh, absolutely. And that has been part of his legacy. He has spoken out against that, and especially in recent years with refugee and migrant movement around Europe, he has stood out to be the voice of consciousness, for the world in many ways, but yes, definitely for the refugee and migrant community, cohort rather. Yep. And that's also impacted on our own formation in Oceania for the Migrant and Refugee Oceania Network as well.
What do you think will be his lasting legacy for you personally, Mena? What will you always remember about Pope Francis and his legacy, his papacy?
Look, he was a pope of the people, and as a Catholic growing up, with successive popes, they have always seemed to be quite over there, almost godlike, out of reach. But Pope Francis was somebody who was very much of the people. He walked alongside us. He walked alongside the most poor. He spoke out. His voice just rose above when the world just needed someone like, for someone like calling out for social justice, reminding us of our humanity. And often he was a voice that was different, but also right to the essential of who we are as one human family, one humanity.
And of course, with such a legacy, big shoes to fill, and our thoughts and prayers with the Catholic community globally, in particular, the big decisions ahead for the Cardinals and the funeral happening this weekend. But Mena, thank you for the work that you do through Caritas New Zealand. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts with us today.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.